God of power and might, grace and love, heaven and earth are full of your glory. You chose to become one of us in Jesus Christ, sharing our joys and sorrows, revealing your greatness in the little child in the manger. And so we praise you for your love, which is great enough to embrace the universe, yet close enough to enter our hearts. During our worship, surprise us with your grace, that we, with the rest of the church and the whole of creation, may praise and adore you. Amen. I enjoyed my first cup of coffee by the window that faces my neighbor's house. There, on his front lawn, is their Christmas tree, ready to be recycled. Christmas is over. In most homes, the Christmas tree has been taken down, the decorations packed away for another year, and the leftovers are thrown out. How was your Christmas? It's a question I've asked and been asked over the last few days. We tend to think about Christmas as just another event. We are event-driven people. We tend to live our lives from one event to the next. Just take a look at your calendar. It's a schedule of events. Our days are full of events, and there is a day or two with no scheduled events. Then we say things like, nothing is going on that day, or I'm not doing anything that day. As if there is no life, nothing to learn or discover, nothing to experience on those days. How different is John's understanding of Christmas, life and humanity. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through Him, and without Him, not one thing came into being. What has come into being in Him was life, and the life was the light of all people. This, for John, is the Christmas story, and it is set in the context of creation. In the beginning. Creation is not an event of the past, but the ongoing life of God with His people. John echoes and continues the Genesis story of creation. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be," and there was. Land, sky, vegetation, living creatures from the water, birds of the air, living creatures from the earth, and humankind made in God's image and likeness. Christmas is God continuing to give life to His people. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. Christmas is also the festival of recreation. It is God giving God's own life to His people. It is as if God said, I want humanity to see my face. I want them to hear my voice. I want to live their life. And I want them to live my life. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. This is God in the flesh, the divine human, holy humanity. The festival of recreation is God's celebration of humanity. It is God entrusting God's self to human beings, to you and me. It is God's reaffirmation of humanity's goodness. It is the sharing and exchanging of life between God and you and me. That's why the early church could say that God became human so that humanity might become God. The Son of God became the Son of Man so that the sons of men might become sons of God. Divinity was clothed in humanity so that humanity might be clothed in divinity. How beautiful is that? Imagine what that means for us. It means we are holy and intended to be holy. Not as an achievement of your own, but as a gift from God. This is the gift of Christmas. We have been given the power to become children of God. This happens not by blood or the will of the flesh or the choice of people, but by God. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. God sees humanity as the opportunity and the means to reveal Himself. Yet far too often we use our humanity as an excuse. I'm only human. We declare as if we are somehow deficient. We fail to see, to believe, to understand that in the Word becoming flesh and living among us, we are God's first sacrament. Human beings are the concrete, outward and visible signs and carriers of God's inward and spiritual presence. Have you ever thought of yourself as a sacrament? Have you ever looked at someone across the street and said, "Hey, look, there's the sacramental image of God"? Why not? Why do we not see that in ourselves and each other? After all, the Word became flesh and lived among us. In the Jewish tradition, the rabbis tell a story that each person has a procession of angels going before them and crying out, "Make way for the image of God." Imagine how different our lives and the world would be if we lived with this as our reality and the truth that guided our lives. Everywhere we go, the angels go with us, announcing the coming of the image of God and reminding us of who we are. That is the truth of Christmas for us. It is also the Christmas truth for the person living next door, for those we love, for those we fear, for those who are like us, and for those who are different, for the stranger and our enemies. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. The implications are profound. It changes how we see ourselves and one another, how we live, our actions and our words. It means that Christmas cannot be limited to an event. Christmas is a life to be lived, a way of being. It means that Christmas is more adequately understood as a verb rather than a noun. So maybe we should stop asking, "How was your Christmas?" Instead, we should be asking, "How are you Christmasing?" Do you recognize the Word become flesh in your own life? Do you recognize the Word become flesh in the lives of others? Do you see the procession of angels and hear their voices? And the Word became flesh and lived among us. The Word became flesh and has never ceased living among us. The Word became flesh and will never cease living among us. So make way wherever you go, whatever you are doing, whoever you are with, make way for the image of God. Christmas, your way through life.